Welcome to the deep dive, where we really get into a topic, a deep dive, if you will, and we extract those key takeaways for you. You know, a lot of sources these days are pretty dense, and we help make it all clear.
Absolutely. And engaging. We're really catering to that desire for knowledge, that aha feeling, without making it overwhelming.
Exactly. So today we're taking a deep dive into, well, have you ever heard of POR Maesa?
POR Maesa, it's an Indonesian sports organization, actually, with a really remarkable history.
100 years, a whole century.
That's right, a full century.
So our mission today is to sort of unearth their story. Like, where did it all begin? What were the big moments, the turning points? And really, what's that spirit that's kept them going for so long?
It's really fascinating because it's not just a sports story, It's a window into Indonesian history, the power of community.
Right, right. You're going to find some surprising things along the way, stuff you wouldn't expect. I think it might even change how you view sports organizations altogether. Okay, so let's jump in. Let's get started. PO Mesa. It goes all the way back to 1924.
1924 in Batavia, which we now know as Jakarta. That's a really significant year if you think about Indonesian history.
I mean, that predates the Sumpah Pemuda.
Exactly. The Youth Pledge. I mean, that was a pivotal moment, right? When young Indonesians were really pushing for unity and independence.
Right.
So to have POR Maesa forming even before that, I think it shows that these ideas of unity were already brewing.
Yeah, very interesting. So even before the big national push, you've got this organization taking root. So what were they all about? What were they trying to achieve right at the start?
Well, the sources really emphasize these core ideals. From the very beginning, they were all about courage, togetherness, and selfless dedication. It wasn't just about playing sports. It was almost like a precursor to that national unity they were striving for. And specifically, a lot of emphasis on fostering brotherhood and this sense of Minahasa identity, what they call Kawanuan.
Now, hold on, Kawanua. And the text also mentions Minahasa and Manado. Are those like the same thing? Can you clear that up for us?
Yeah, it's a good point. So Manado is the capital of North Sulawesi province. And it's right there on the Minahasa Peninsula, which is the broader region.
Okay.
And because Manado was like the main port for the Minahasa region, people traveling outside, they often say they were from Manado.
Gotcha. So like a shorthand.
Exactly. So it's not strictly the same. But Manado person became this common way to refer to someone from the wider Minahasa area.
Okay, that makes sense. So back to Kawanuan, it sounds like this early emphasis was about bringing people together from this shared identity, but through sports.
It was more than just getting together. They wanted to promote sportsmanship, strengthen unity amongst the Kawanua people, and actually improve the quality of sports in their community.
They had ambition.
Oh, absolutely. And they planned their very first competitions, guess when? Easter, 1925.
Easter, okay. And I've read somewhere it wasn't all smooth sailing, right? Like getting started, there were some funding challenges.
Yeah, there's a pretty memorable story about that. So they're organizing these competitions and figuring out the logistics, renting fields, buying tennis balls, accommodation. It all adds up. And at some point, Ferdy Lapian, he kind of throws out this question. Vi itat alam albetalan, sapato mo bayar itu samwa.
Which means?
Basically, who's going to pay for all this? And Anton Nayoan, who is kind of a key figure in the early days.
A character.
Yeah, he stands up, maybe a little emboldened by a few glasses of bowls, and he declares, with that classic Kawanua spirit, Met of zonder jullie zullen de wedstrijden doorgaan.
Which means?
With or without you, the competitions will go on. Talk about determination, right? He even went on to say they'd form a tennis association for the Manado people living outside Minahasa, no matter what.
Wow, a man on a mission. And they did have that first event, right? That inner-city Easter tennis tournament in Bandung.
They did. And teams came from Batavia, Bandung, and Surabaya. You had figures like Anton Nayoan, Ferdy Lapian, Willem Lau representing Bandung. Surabaya had their team led by George Muntu, with players like Alex Muntu, Rob Tuwaiden, Salem Indian.
Quite a mix.
Yeah. And it's interesting, even some Dutch residents participated.
Oh, really?
Representing.
Batavia and Bandung, yeah.
So were there any early stars, any future heroes we should know about from that first tournament?
Well, in that first tournament, a Manado player named Ir Hurling Lau, playing for Bandung, he won the men's doubles.
Okay.
And his partner was F. Van Tamlin, who also won the men's singles. There were other winners, of course, for the women's singles and mixed doubles. But that victory, I think, for Hurling Lau, for the Minahasa community in this newly formed organization, That was significant.
It's almost like right from the start, it wasn't just about playing. It was about showing what they could do.
Exactly. Pride, yeah.
Now, you mentioned this spirit of the Minahasa people. The book actually talks about their character, doesn't it? It does. And it's really fascinating. They're described as democratic, outspoken, cheerful, tolerant, and adaptable.
Hmm.
And the book suggests that these qualities, these inherent qualities of the Minahasa people, they really became woven into POR Maesa.
Interesting. And this idea of Kawanua, it's more than just being from the same place, right? What's the deeper meaning there?
Right. So Kawanua really emerged as this way for Minahasa people who are living outside their home region to identify each other.
Okay.
And it's from Wanua or Banua, meaning village, settlement. So Kawanua essentially means from the same village. And it created this powerful bond for those living far from home.
Yeah, it's like even stronger because of the distance.
Exactly.
Now, this enduring spirit of POR Maesa, the book says there are two core components, like the secret sauce of their longevity.
Right. And they identified these two fundamental spirits, the spirit of family and the spirit of competition, or sports itself. And it's this combination, strong kinship and the drive to excel that seemed to have fueled them for 100 years.
Family and competition. Okay,
Yeah.
I can see that. Now, how did all these early gatherings and ideals translate into actual sports clubs? Because the text mentions some key clubs popping up in 1924 itself.
Yeah, that same year. It's remarkable.
Yeah.
So you have those who love football, and they formed the Voetbal Vereniging Minahasa, or VVM, which translates to, Minahasa Football Association, pioneered by Paul F. Rumete and Tu'u Mamahit.
Okay.
And this is considered like the precursor to the PS Maesa, which is their current football club.
Okay, got it.
VVM, they started competing in the West, Java Voetbalbond, and then later they found success in the Voetbalbond Batavia in Omstreken. That's the Batavia and surrounding areas football association.
Catchy. And who were some of the players? Any names stand out from those early days?
Oh, yeah. The book lists some early VVM players, Comans, Dolpha Pichuli, Abadan, F. Sanger. And then later, as VVM gained prominence, you had guys like Pes Wongan, Wim Sumampao, Nod Garingan.
Okay.
And what's interesting, right from the beginning, they were inclusive. There were non-Kawanua members on the team.
Oh, really? Right from the start?
Yeah.
So football was a big part of it. And what about, I see the name Club Couture de Pion. Does that ring a bell?
Oh, yeah, that's chess. So for the chess enthusiasts, they had Club Couture de Pion, which translates to the Pawn Chess Club, right there in Batavia in 1924.
Sure.
And it was thanks to Paul F. Rumete, who was a dedicated chess player himself.
Okay.
He was always organizing tournaments, fostering the game within the community, and even outside of it.
Yeah.
So that quickly became like the hub for all the Minahasa chess players.
So football, chess, those are the early pillars. Now, when did the name Maesa itself really become the main identifier for the whole organization?
Well, the book points to the formation of Jongeren Vereniging Maesa, or JV Maesa, in Batavia in 1934.
Okay.
That's Maesa Youth Association.
Yeah.
And it was the first time they actually used Maesa in the name. And it was founded by Minahasa youth who are also involved in the Minahasa Bridge Association. So you see those connections even then.
Yeah.
To different social activities.
Right, right. And this JV Maesa, it wasn't just some random thing, right? It was part of a bigger youth movement happening across Indonesia.
You got it. It was very much tied to this broader Indonesian youth movement that had been gaining momentum since 1918. And for the Kawanua youth, these associations, they often called them stall.
Stall.
It literally means stable, but it was like a metaphorical term
Okay.
for their gathering places.
Nicey.
And these stall were vital for building camaraderie and, of course, for sports.
Right, right. And the book even mentions specific stall connected to certain individuals?
It does.
Mm.
Key figures like Paul Rumé, Anton Nayoan, Dan Pilar, Salem and Jin, they each had their own stall in different cities.
Mm-hmm.
Batavia, Bandung, Surabaya.
Mm.
These weren't just hangouts, they were hubs, for sports, for social gatherings, for strengthening that brotherhood.
Real community centers.
Yeah, they were incubators for that early Maesa spirit.
And JV Maesa itself, it sounds like they had a pretty organized setup. What kind of stuff were they doing?
Oh yeah, they had divisions for everything. Sports, of course, scouting, theater, reading groups, new project initiatives. They even had a monthly magazine.
Wow, the whole works.
Yeah, and of course, general affairs. They were a well-rounded organization.
Right. Now, World War II, I mean, that must have shaken things up. Did JV Maesa, did they manage to adapt to all that change?
Well, during the Japanese occupation, any organizations with Dutch-sounding names, they were forced to change.
Right.
So JV Maesa became Penelong Kam Celebs, or BKC. helper of the syllabus people.
Makes sense. And what did they focus on?
They shifted to helping displaced families,
Oh.
particularly women and children whose husbands were stuck overseas
Oh, wow.
because they were working for Dutch companies.
Yeah.
And this whole effort was led by Samrat Talanji with support from Maesa members.
It's interesting how they had to adapt to the circumstances, but still kept that spirit of helping,
Yeah.
of community. Now, I understand PKC laid the groundwork for something even bigger after the war.
It did. PKC is considered the precursor to Kebaktian Rakyat Indonesia Sulawesi, PAINS,
And that is?
loyalty of the Indonesian people of Sulawesi.
Wow, okay.
And then later, as things got politically charged after independence, KRIE evolved into Angkatan Muda Sulawesi, or AMS. And eventually, Angkatan Pemuda Indonesia Sulawesi, API.
So many acronyms.
I know. But it reflects those regional conflicts, the need for the Sulawesi community to protect themselves, in a sense.
Right, right. So that Maesa ethos, unity, mutual support, it extended beyond sports.
It did, into those wider social and even political arenas.
Fascinating. And I think around that time, the name Maesa itself starts popping up in other cities too, right?
Yeah, it starts to spread. You start to see sporting groups with names like Stal Kawanua, really cementing that connection between the Kawanua community and sports.
And it wasn't just about the games, right? There was a cultural and religious aspect to these gatherings too.
Absolutely. A lot of the Minahasa people are Christian. So they'd often have Christian services as part of their gatherings, especially around Easter, which, as we talked about, was significant from the very beginning.
Yeah.
But it's important to note, they were inclusive. Muslim members were active too.
Okay, that's good to know. So it's a real close-knit community bound by this shared heritage and this love for sports. Now let's talk about some of the individuals who really shaped POR Maesa in those early years. Between 1924 and 1941, the book profiles a few key figures.
Right. And Anton Iowan really stands out. He was central to the establishment of MITO.
What's MITO?
Minahasa Interested Like a Tennis Organization.
That's a mouthful.
I know, right? But essentially, it's the Minahasa Inner City Tennis Organization.
Okay.
And Anton was such a passionate advocate for tennis within the organization. His with or without you speech that really encapsulates his drive.
He was serious about it, and Paul Efremid, he seems to have been involved in everything.
He was. Paul Efremid was like the pre-war era powerhouse. Tennis, football, bridge, chess, especially within the Kawanua community. And he was known for his organizational skills, his strong character, and his generosity.
Oh.
He'd open up his homes in Batavia, those stall we talked about, for young Kawanua. His recreation spot in Pasar Minggu, they called the Huis Kapitaran, is another hub for social and sporting activities.
Sounds like a pillar of the community. What about Salem Engian from Surabaya? I read his story, and it seems to be about perseverance, sticking with it.
Yeah, Salem Engian was a dedicated tennis player, and he actually played in that first intercity tournament in Bandung in 1925. But it took him 14 years after MITO was founded to finally win the Maesa-esaan Intercity Eastern Tennis Championship. That was in 1938.
Wow, 14 years.
He was up against a tough opponent, a young Lai Goen Sin from Bandung. It was a huge match. And later, he became involved in the administration of Mansa Tennis.
Wow, dedication. And then there's Ferdy H. Lau. His name pops up a lot.
Ferdy H. Lau was there from the very start of MITO in 1924. He held various leadership roles, chairman from 1936 to 1941, and he kept going, even after the war.
Okay.
Really dedicated to the organization.
And there are other names, too, like Jap Sumuel, Alex Muntu, J.W. Tillar. What were their contributions?
So Jap Sumuel, he was based in Bandung, key role in organizing matches, and a skilled mixed doubles player himself.
Okay.
Alex Muntu from Surabaya, very prominent tennis player, known for being a tough competitor. And then J.W. Tillar, he was instrumental in promoting Maesa events in Semarang and later in Surabaya, even played himself as a veteran.
It's amazing, all these individuals laying the groundwork for what POR Maesa would become. Now let's shift gears to the post-war period, 1942 to 1983. How did they navigate that time?
The Japanese occupation in the 40s definitely had a big impact. Like we talked about, VBM had to change their name.
Right.
But the sports activities, especially football, they carried on, more informally organized between companies, regional teams. And similarly, the Korfball Club, KJM, which was a korfball club, became Bola Keranjang Maesa, Maesa basketball. And Shot Club de Pion became Kater Maesa, Maesa chess. They held on to that Maesa identity.
Interesting. Even with the enforced changes, the spirit remained. There's this story about Dr. Samrat Talanji. It really illustrates that, what happened.
Yeah, this one shows just how important Maesa was within the community. So there's this Maesa chess meeting, and Dr. Sam Radalanga, he makes this surprise appearance, and he says, very emphatically, that he is still the patron of all Maesa organizations. This is significant because the basketball club had tried to appoint a different patron, and that decision was deemed invalid.
Oh.
Shows you the deep respect for Dr. Ratalangi's continued support.
Yeah, and this unity of the Maesa name. What about those inner-city Easter tournaments? We talked about them earlier, but I think they went on hiatus for a while and then were revived.
Exactly. The Pasteurnoy, they were so central to the early years. But they were revived after a break, starting in 1979. And initially, it was tennis and bridge.
Okay.
And the main goal, it was really about strengthening those connections, those family ties, within the Kawanua community.
Going back to the roots.
Exactly.
Did people come back for these revived tournaments?
Oh, yeah, big time. In the 80s, you had hundreds of tennis and bridge players traveling from all over Indonesia. It was a huge deal.
Wow.
And it really showed how much these events meant to the Kawanua community.
And there was some internal discussion about whether to hold them on Easter Sunday, right?
Yeah, there were different opinions within Maesa.
What were the main arguments?
Some people weren't sure about scheduling events on such a holy day. But then others pointed out that POR Maesa itself was founded on Easter, and it had always been a tradition to start events with religious services. So, in the end, they stuck with having the Pasteurnoy around Easter.
So tradition wins out. Okay, and in 1983, there was this renewed focus on a particular aspect of their activities.
Yeah, in '83, they made a conscious effort to focus on the development of skills and techniques and the mental and physical well-being of participants. It was a shift, not just community building, but actual athletic development.
Okay, so a move toward, like, getting better.
Exactly.
Now, between 1984 and 2004, things really seemed to expand.
Huge growth.
And diversify.
Totally.
The 60th anniversary, that seems to have been a turning point.
Big milestone. In '84, they had extensive meetings reaffirming the goals of POR Maesa. Really going back to what the founders wanted back in 1924. Alumni from different schools in Manado were instrumental in organizing that anniversary Easter tournament.
It's nice that they brought those different generations in.
Yeah, really nice.
And I noticed that by then, the types of sports had expanded. It wasn't just tennis and bridge anymore.
Oh, yeah. In '84, they had athletics, bowling, bridge, chess, golf, tennis, and even artistic performances. Athletes from all over Indonesia were participating. It was a big deal.
They'd really come a long way.
They had. And that anniversary also led to some important organizational stuff. New leadership in '84, Eric Samola was at the helm, and they formalized their statutes.
Like a constitution.
Exactly. Provided a structure for them moving forward.
And they adopted that motto, the one that really sums up what they're about?
Yeah. Maleo-leosan, Masawang-sawangan, Mayleki-likan.
Which basically means?
Unity, mutual support, and care. That family spirit, community, those core values.
Right.
And their goals were clear. To preserve those values through sports and arts, and to promote patriotism.
Okay. Now, they also developed these different sports branches, right, under the umbrella of something called OICO.
Yes. OICO stands for Organisasi Induk Cabang Olahraga, basically the parent organization for each sport. It's like a framework to manage each individual sport.
Got it. So let's talk about some of these OICOs. Football with PS Maesa. What was their journey like?
PS Maesa, they've had their ups and downs. They had this long, proud history, but they faced some challenges, got relegated in the '80s, but they remained a part of the Maesa community.
Okay. And athletics. Were there any Maesa athletes making a name for themselves?
Oh, yeah. You had some prominent Kawanua athletes who were associated with Maesa, like Jose Gosol and Lex Candu. They did really well at the national level, track and field. And other Maesa athletes in middle and long distance running, they also found success.
Now, hockey, they seem to have had a pretty good run.
Maesa hockey was strong, consistently winning championships in Jakarta. And some of their management, they were involved in leading the Indonesian Hockey Federation.
So, real influence.
Yeah.
Volleyball and boxing, they also become part of Maesa around this time.
Yeah, volleyball initially was more recreational.
Okay.
Boxing became an OICO in '94.
Sure.
And they quickly achieved success, both nationally and internationally.
Oh, really?
Boxers like Chris John and Dadi Bahari came through their ranks.
Big names. Now, bridge, they've always been strong there, right?
Bridge is like a Maesa tradition. They've produced tons of champions, national and international, names like Jelly Tonti and Audrey Sandak. And they organize those Bridge Empat Kawan Terbuka Piala Maesa tournaments.
Wow, that's a mouthful.
I know, right? But it shows how much they value bridge.
And what about badminton? Indonesia has a history of being so good at badminton.
Oh, yeah. And Maesa has strong ties to badminton.
Yeah.
You had figures like Kerukunanan and Papi Tumenkol, early pioneers, and later Leos Pongo, Liliana Natsir, Flandi Limpele, big names in Indonesian badminton.
Right.
And Justin Suhandanata, he was married to Papi Tumenkol, and he was really crucial in national badminton admin. He helped develop a lot of young talent through his Tungkas Bogasari Club.
Okay. And what about chess and golf? Did they continue to develop within Maesa?
Chess was there from the start,
Right.
and it has stayed active, regular tournaments for members. Golf gained popularity too, became an OICO. They had their own events. And karate became an OICO in 1994. Key figures like Dr. Nico A. Lumenta, he was a national karate champion, and one of the founders of the Indonesian Karate Do Indonesia, NKI.
And I see a name here, Aprilio Manglang, mentioned in the context of volleyball. What's their connection to Maesa?
Yeah, Aprilio Manganang, he was a really successful volleyball player.
Right.
Won gold at the 2019 Southeast Asian Games.
Yeah.
Now, the text mentions him, definitely Minahasa heritage, but it doesn't say explicitly if he was directly involved with POR Maesa.
Okay. So a real sporting powerhouse, all these different disciplines. And those Maesa Pasca, the Easter events, they kept going in the 90s and early 2000s, right?
Oh, yeah, central tradition.
And in 1996, the first one was held in
Hey.
Manado. Okay, which makes sense.
And that coincided with the official establishment of POR Maesa North Sulawesi, so further expanding their reach.
Decentralizing a bit.
Exactly. And they also kept updating their structure, policies. They had this Musyawarah Keluarga Besar,
Which means?
grand family meeting, essentially. It's like their main decision-making body. And they had a big one in 2000 to update those policies, elect new leadership, keeping things fresh.
Makes sense. And as they were approaching their 80th anniversary in 2004, there was this push to document their history, right?
Big time. Plans for the 80th anniversary in '04, and they launched a whole POR Maesa history book.
Okay.
And they officially established the founding date as April 20, 1924, based on historical records.
Oh, so they kind of solidified that.
Exactly. And even more recently, there was another Musyawarah Keluarga Besar in August 2022, and they inaugurated the leadership for the 2022-2027 term.
So still going strong.
Oh, yeah, very much so.
It's incredible that POR Maesa has not only thrived in Indonesia, but also spread its wings internationally. Let's talk about that, Maesa beyond Indonesia.
That's a really fascinating part of the story. Maesa, New York, it was the first Kawanua organization in the U.S., founded in 1979. They were really important for the Indonesian community there.
And didn't they face some challenges early on?
Yeah, at first, perceptions of regionalism and their historical association with the Permesta movement.
Permesta.
You know, it was this regional uprising back in the late 50s.
Okay.
But despite that, they became really active. They participated in Indonesian Independence Day celebrations, often competing under the name Mang UNI.
What does that stand for?
It's another acronym. Masyarakat Neutral Gabungan Non-Instansi.
Wow. Okay.
It means neutral association of non-governmental groups.
Catchy. And they found success.
Oh, yeah. They often did really well in sports.
Okay.
They also focused on preserving Kawanua culture and provided community support.
Yeah.
Key figures like Glenn Lalone and Robert Muang Kang were instrumental.
And it wasn't just New York, right? Other Maesa chapters popped up around the U.S.
Yeah, you had Mesa, New Hampshire. They organized events, raised funds for things like the Poso conflict in Indonesia. Mesa, California, they had their annual Kawanua picnic, sports competitions. Emil Melanque was a big figure there.
Wow. All over. And even in Europe.
Yeah, in the Netherlands, they have Kerukunanan Keluarga Besar Nederland, or KKB Nederland, Greater Family Association Netherlands. It was formed in '98 to coordinate all the different Kawanua groups that had already sprouted up in the Netherlands.
Really shows those connections, even across continents.
It's powerful.
Now, we've talked a lot about the organization, but let's talk about the athletes, because POR Maesa has nurtured some real talent.
Some amazing athletes.
Yeah.
The book profiles quite a few.
Yeah.
In athletics, you have Johannes Edward Willem Gosel. In tennis, there's Lanny Kaligis, won multiple golds at the Asian Games, competed at Wimbledon.
Wow.
Lita Liam, octopus ambidextrous, they called her, because she played with two hands. National champion multiple times, Wimbledon quarterfinalist.
Really?
Yolanda Somarno, another successful tennis player.
So the tennis legacy is strong.
Very strong.
And I see some success in combat sports as well.
Oh, yeah. In boxing, Ferry Egbert Moniaga won gold at the Asian Games. Karate, you have Maxi W. Paran, national referee, and also an official within POR Maesa. and Dr. Nico A. Lumenta, national karate champion and one of the founders of Inkai. And some more recent tennis stars, I think, also have Maesa ties. Definitely. Christopher Ringkat, junior French Open champion, also won gold at the Asian Games. He has strong Maesa connections.
Impressive.
And even Mariette Elizabeth Rorek-Waro, a multi-sport athlete associated with the organization.
It's amazing how much talent they've helped develop across so many sports.
It really is. And you see this family connection, too. Families like the Walaegas with Waylon and Waya, both successful tennis players.
Okay.
The Lumenau family, Frederick Lumenau, national karate champion. His son, Claudio, currently top-ranked tennis player on the Davis Cup team. The book even mentions tons of other tennis players, Kawanua heritage, representing Indonesia internationally.
Wow, that's quite a legacy. Now, as we wrap things up, let's touch on those generational transitions within the organization itself.
Right. The book talks about these distinct periods